Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hear the Shepherdstown Candidates. My name is Alan Gibson, and I'll be your moderator this evening. But before we call on the candidates, I'd like to introduce James Gatz. He's from Shepherdstown Votes, and he's going to explain the rules of engagement this evening. James?
Thanks, Alan. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us in this virtual event for candidates for the upcoming elections in Shepherdstown. I am James Gatz. I'm a resident of Shepherdstown. I live up at the top of New Street. And I'm a member of Shepherdstown Votes, which is a nonpartisan resident initiative to encourage greater participation in our local elections, particularly our town election that will happen later this month and in town government generally. With us this evening are candidates running in the upcoming election for mayor, for recorder, and for town council members. We thank all the candidates for joining us this evening. It's worth noting that all of these elected positions are effectively volunteer jobs that require a lot of energy, many hours of work, and attention to town needs. While town office holders are paid a small stipend, it's really more of a gesture of appreciation than actual compensation for their time. So we thank everyone who has served our town and everyone who wants to serve for your dedication and self-sacrifice. Thanks also to Alan Gibson and OneClick.chat, which is providing the online platform for tonight's event at no charge to us. Alan has also kindly agreed to serve as a moderator, as he mentioned. Just a couple reminders on technical issues as we get started. Many of us are new to the OneClick.chat platform, and with all things new, it might take a few minutes to get acquainted with some aspects of the system. If you're having some difficulty with any technical glitches, don't worry. There's a Need Help button at the top of the screen that you can click for assistance with those technical issues. Second, we will hear from a total of 9 candidates this evening, and we've allocated only 1 hour for the program. Therefore, we won't have time to take questions or comments from the viewers. Even though there's a chat function on this website, we ask you not to use it. It'll be distracting to the speakers, and we just aren't able to take questions through chat. So we appreciate your cooperation in not using the chat function tonight. And finally, before we meet the candidates, I'd like to remind everyone that Election Day is Tuesday, July the 21st. But early voting has already begun, and it will continue through July 18th. More information about how to vote can be found at www.shepherdstown.us and on the Shepherdstown Votes Facebook page. And we'll provide a bit more information at the end of the event about how to vote, where to vote. Now, I also just have a couple words about the format for tonight's event. As some of you probably know, Shepherdstown Votes posted an informal survey to get a sense of what topics are of greatest concern to town residents. We posted it on our Facebook site for about a week in late June and early July, and we received about 50 responses. While this survey is not scientific, and it represents only a very small fraction of the 800 or so registered voters in town, it does give us an idea of what people are thinking. And it shows that 3 issues are at the top of the list for residents. First is maintaining a friendly business environment for our small businesses in town. Second, planning for sustainable and eco-friendly economic growth. And third, addressing racial justice concerns that are so important to all of us. Other top concerns that didn't quite make it to the top 3 include improving traffic and pedestrian safety, focusing on pandemic in our town, and improving infrastructure, including sidewalks and roads. We've shared a summary of the survey results with the candidates and encourage them to address some or all of these topics in their statements tonight. Our hope is that tonight's event will be an opportunity for the candidates to go into a little bit more detail about these issues, as well as their overall vision for the town, and enable them to talk about how these issues, what that means to them, and how they think the town might go about addressing them. Tonight's event is being recorded, and it will be available for viewing starting later this week through Election Day. We're going to post it on our Shepherdstown Votes Facebook page for everyone who aren't able to join us tonight. So please let your friends and neighbors know about that and encourage them to take a look. And now, here's Alan Gibson again, president of OneClick.chat, who will take it from here.
Thank you, James. If you are a candidate in the audience, I would love for you to find your name in the list on the right. We have a lot of people joining the event. And when you find your name, if you would click on the button that says raise hand, that'll make it easier for me to find you when it's time for me to call you up. And so I'll be calling each of the candidates up one by one. Each one will have up to 4 minutes to make a statement. When there's about 30 seconds left, I will reappear on screen with them, and that will be your sign, candidates, that it's time to wrap things up. So let's start with our candidates for mayor. The mayor serves as the CEO of the Corporation of Shepherdstown and is responsible for overseeing the administrative, police, and public works departments. And I am going to find our first candidate, Todd. There you are. First up is Todd Cotgreave, some of whom you may know from his as former owner-operator of the town-run tap house. Todd is a graduate of Shepherd University and has lived in Shepherdstown since 1992. This is his first bid for public office. Todd, you have up to 4 minutes, and then I'll return.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, thanks to Shepherdstown Votes. What a great organization to have started. And a wonderful idea in a time when we can't all get together. You've made it possible. Thank you very much. And thanks again to Alan. What a cool setup you've got. And not only is that cool, but thanks for emceeing. Very gracious of you. So yeah, I've been in town for 28 years. I do call this home. This is just a fantastic place to be, and it comes down to the people. I remember the first month that I was in town and just bumping into people that had a smile on their face, happy to meet, happy to help. And so a little background about me and the time here and spent those 28 years. Early on, I started an art gallery with some friends, just something we were doing to have fun. And we were amazed that hordes and hordes of locals from town showed up to help out and be a part of it. Later, I did work at Shepherd University for about 7 years, running the radio station, making that a community radio program. Again, tons and tons of locals came out to help and create this fantastic radio experience that we had, a lot of which is still going on today, although they've undergone some changes. Then I did run town-run tap house and community pub, which was really just a community center and restaurant. I was just amazed at providing a small amount of foundation in this town just led to so much work and love from the community, which has brought me to one of the reasons why I'm running. Town Run is gone. Coronavirus hit that pretty hard, and it's a restaurant, so it's risky anyway. And with that ending, I really just found out I love serving this community and the people in it. So moving on, one of the things we were talking about, or one of the topics, was downtown and what's going on there. That is one of my main focuses. I've watched this downtown change for almost 30 years, and it is very difficult for a business to make it right now. And we love our downtown, but rents are high. Parking has always been an issue. Those things I really want to focus on, and I've spoken to some other candidates that are now running for town council, and we all have some similar ideas, but we do realize what a big issue it is. And we don't want shops that are closed and boarded up, and we don't want so many restaurants that people come but have not much to do. We need shops as well. A lot of that goes to rent and the infrastructure and how we advertise. So other items to talk about are diversity, our ongoing horrible race climate in this country. For that, I think Shepherdstown should lead by example. I think we should be a strong voice in the Panhandle and the four-state area about what we think. And what we think is we probably should celebrate Juneteenth, make it a holiday. We should have a parade. We should be doing things during Black History Month. We should have a much more diverse staff in town. Sorry, and I see I don't have too much time left, but that is something that I really hold dear to my heart. Issues like the coronavirus, we should be doing a ton of things. We should already have places to eat in town, closing a street. I know it's in council right now, but those things should be done. It's been months and months. And in ending, I do want to just say, Jim Oxer has done a fine job. I love Jim. I think Jim's a little upset that I'm running. He likes his job. He's done a great job. I just think that, sorry, Jim, love you.
We're gonna have to wrap this up, Todd.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Not a problem. I do just think it is time for a change, some younger set of eyes.
Thank you very much, Todd. I'm trying to keep this fair for everyone. Next, we'll hear from Jim Oxer, who's running for re-election as mayor of Shepherdstown. Also a graduate of Shepherd University, Jim spent many years as a correction counselor and mental health counselor. After a number of years away, he returned to Shepherdstown in 1999. He previously served as mayor from 2000 to 2004 and from 2008 until the present. Jim is in the town hall at the moment. And Jim, you have up to 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, you all. I want to thank Alan Gibson for donating his technology for tonight's event, and on behalf of the candidates and the residents of Shepherdstown. And I'm hoping you can understand me, but Lori Robertson is sitting right next to me. I wish to thank the Shepherdstown votes for their efforts in providing election information to the voters. A little bit about myself. Alan went ahead and did that, but I am fully a Shepherd graduate. I worked in corrections for almost 48 years as a mental health counselor, and when you do that, you always feel the need to help, assist people in trying to do the right things. I've been married to my wife for 34 years. I have a daughter that lives in Colorado Springs. I have a master's degree from Shippensburg. And I really feel fortunate to live in Shepherdstown. When I moved back in '99, I was here only for about 6 months before I was approached to become mayor of Shepherdstown. I think part of the impetus was that I have many friends that have lived in Shepherdstown almost all their lives. And whatever they knew about me, thought that I would maybe be able to help Shepherdstown move forward in whatever they were trying to do. At that time, it was infrastructure and a lack of funds. And I might have been known my frugality then. I'm not sure that people didn't say anything about that, but I think around town people know that I'm a frugal person and try and get all of us the most bang for our buck. I could go through some things. Well, I will. In your role as mayor, I just see myself as another town employee, committed to providing services, assisting town and community members with issues that are important in their lives. There's no job too small or too large. I have an open door policy, and sometimes that can be an issue. Nevertheless, it's important for people to know that they can ask me anything. And in having said that, anything we don't cover today, you can just come to town hall, walk up and see me. I'll be glad to talk with you because we have so many important issues. And we must remember how important it is for our volunteers. And as was prefaced by Mr. Gatz, we really are town volunteers. So please thank any volunteer you see, all the organizations, they work hard, they're trying to do the right thing. So let's talk about COVID-19. It's been obviously something that Shepherdstown has really moved to the forefront. NPR came and interviewed me several times, and it was on national radio, and about Shepherdstown's efforts to keep our town and our belief that everybody has everybody's responsibility to be safe. It can't be that time already.
It is, I'm afraid. Just wrap it up, Jim. You have about 15 seconds left.
Oh my gosh. Geez. So in closing, thanks for allowing me to provide insight into the mayor's role, which I was unable to do. So you have to come and see me. But remember this, I campaign every day at the office. And I really want to have the opportunity to serve again. We have some things that need to be done. We're right in the middle of navigating this COVID-19 virus. We have the CARES issues, we have business issues, and we're really trying to help everyone. So please support me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And since our next candidate is sitting right next to you, let's just switch over to Lori Robertson. Lori Robertson is currently serving as town recorder. In that capacity, she serves as the recording secretary for the town council and performs other vital administrative functions. Under state law, in the absence of the mayor, the recorder is invested with all the powers of the mayor. Lori has lived in Shepherdstown since 2006 and has served on the town council since 2008. She is running unopposed. Lori, you have up to 4 minutes.
Thank you, Alan Gibson and Shepherdstown Votes, for hosting this forum. Chris and I bought our home on South Princess Street in January 2006, and like most, we set to restoring it. I have a daughter in grad school at Temple University, 2 stepsons, one in LA, one in Atlanta, stepdaughter in Fort Lauderdale, and 3 grandkids. I did body work on people for 20 years and now work at Morgan Academy as the operations manager. I have the Princess Street Urban Garden. Thank you very much, John Chrisman, for allowing me to use that land for over 10 years in what has unintentionally become a tourist attraction. I first ran for council in 2008. I was moved to run over several issues at the time and was voted in. I then ran for recorder in 2010 and have been proud to serve as such since then. Alan went over the duties of the recorder, so I will just say that I also run the municipal election, which is July 21st this year, held at Town Hall on King Street. I am the chair of the Tree Commission and serve on Planning Commission, the Parking Committee, the Police Committee. Thank you to our officers, Parks and Rec, and personnel. It has been an honor to serve, and I am humbled by your trust to serve over these many years. Mayor Oxer and I have a great working relationship. Experience matters, especially during these trying times of a national pandemic and social unrest. We have worked many hours behind the scenes and with the help of others to navigate the unique problems that have presented themselves to help Shepherdstown get back on its feet and to keep it safe. I am proud to have brought recycling bins, the cigarette recycling receptacles, the doggy pots to German, Princess, and King Streets. The path to Morgan's Grove Park is still in the works, I promise. I am a member of the Recycling Task Force, which Chris Stray chairs, to help eliminate plastic bags and styrofoam that are so damaging to our environment. I was president of Shepherdstown Street Fest for 5 years that highlighted our town, that brought thousands to visit and shop and gave thousands of dollars to local and regional charities. I am proud that we are such a diverse and accepting community. I am proud of the improvements to our infrastructure, our sidewalks, maintaining our tree canopy for Tree City USA, my open door policy. I am open to and value all opinions before making a decision, and my commitment to an environmentally friendly town. I look forward to continuing these efforts and more. Running and serving in public office is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of time and effort, what is essentially a volunteer position. To the registered voters out there, do your research and please vote. In closing, I want to give a shout out to our mayor, council, town hall staff, public works, and the police department. To the residents, businesses, and visitors who help make our town what it is, and to Shepherd University, with whom we have a great partnership. I once again look forward to serving the great tiny town of Shepherdstown that we all call home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. Next up are the candidates for town council. The town council consists of 5 at-large members who are elected for 2-year terms. This year, we've got 7 candidates for 5 open positions, and we will present them tonight in the order that they appear on the ballot. First up is Cheryl Roberts, who has served 4 years on the town council. A Shepherdstown native, Cheryl is a graduate of Shepherd University and holds a master's degree from the University of the District of Columbia. She's employed as a national project manager for the Employee Education System of the Department of Veterans Affairs. She's also president of the Shepherdstown Lions Club and a life member of the NAACP, among other activities. Cheryl, you have up to 4 minutes, and I'm so glad you could make it.
Well, good evening, and thank you, Alan. I'm sorry for your difficulties on the technology, but I appreciate it. So thank you, Shepherdstown Votes, for this opportunity. I've enjoyed the past 4 years of serving as an at-large member of the town council. I entered knowing very little about the business side of managing town, and at this point, I feel comfortable knowing a lot more. In addition to my role as council member when elected in 2016, I continued my role as chairperson of the Shepherdstown Parks and Rec Committee, and additionally was appointed to and currently serve as a member of the Finance and the Police Committees. Therefore, from the fun of serving on Parks and Rec, I became more familiar with fiscal security policing of these areas, as well as the town itself. And although not a member of Public Works Committee, I've learned a great deal regarding those functions as a result of my role as chair of Parks and Rec and town council member. Our goal is to be fiscally responsible and to make sure the budget balances, to have a voice in police matters, and to ensure immediate responses to water sewer issues, and to ensure that little things that few think about run smoothly in maintaining and promoting the town. We work with the West Virginia State Highway Commission regarding maintenance, safety, easy accessibility on German, Duke, and Princess Streets, and by all means continue to maintain a healthy and safe place to live, work, and play, especially during the COVID season. It's extremely important to me that the council is responsible for maintaining a small business-friendly environment, not only for our residents and students, but for visitors as well. Shepherdstown is busy every day, and the pedestrian traffic as well as the vehicle traffic is particularly on holidays, weekends, and during special events. So everyone comes to town with purpose to support the businesses, which mostly consist of the restaurants, and we have the best food, the best merchandise, the best business owners within any of the surrounding areas. Although parking cannot be totally free for everyone, we have a relationship with Shepherd University for free weekend parking and for easier access to the shops and to the restaurants. One of my interests is making sure that we continue to support and promote the visitor center, access to businesses, safe pathways or sidewalks, as well as the aesthetics. Additionally, I'm interested in finding more ways to partner with the university to promote Shepherdstown. It's imperative that we all are served, treated the same, leave town with the feeling of, wow, let's do this every day and every weekend. In the area of planning a sustainable and eco-friendly economic growth, Shepherdstown has already started the process of recycling. Shepherdstown has always been on the forefront. We're the only municipality that recycles the glass. We offer regular recycling and garbage pickup 2 days a week, and we transport to local locations with the goal of improving our environment. I supported the ordinance banning styrofoam and plastic bags. I will continue to work towards the improvement of our water quality, particularly caring for our town run as our secondary water source. Our wastewater treatment plant is state of the art. We want to welcome and support businesses as much as possible and encourage business owners to become more involved by attending town council meetings and letting us know how we can help SBA to improve, enhance, and grow. And last and certainly not least, we want to be able to address the racial justice concerns of our citizens. This concern should not be something that you have just begun to think about with the recent death of George Floyd and the police brutality that he suffered, the protests, etc. These concerns need to be in the forefront of your mind. And when you communicate and conduct business, socialize with people who look, act, or dress differently, you just need to be mindful. I'm dedicated to serving the town, particularly west of German and east of Mill Streets. I thank God every day, and especially lately, that Shepherdstown does not have the big problems or issues that the large cities have. But surrounding towns and cities in our area do have some of these issues. Most of the time it's either hidden or we only hear about them when someone is killed or hospitalized. So I'll conclude by saying, if you see something that's unfair, unjust, or just not right, I believe you have an obligation to say something, to speak up, and or to speak out. Black lives do matter. Otherwise, everything is fine, and then people will just continue to function in the dark ages of the past. So again, I appreciate this opportunity. I ask you for your vote, and I thank you if you've already voted. And I'll be honored to serve another term. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. And I will go to Chris Stray. Chris is an attorney with Arnold and Bailey in Charlestown. A graduate of West Virginia University, Chris has served on the Tree Commission, Planning Commission, and Recycling Task Force. He also led the effort to amend town ordinances to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation. Chris, you have up to 4 minutes.
Thanks everybody again for putting this together for us. I started where I left off here. I grew up in Shepherdstown. I went to Shepherdstown Junior High, Jefferson High School, and then went on to undergrad and law school in Morgantown at West Virginia University. After I finished school there, I came back to the area where I ultimately became an attorney with the law firm of Arnold and Bailey, who had their office in Shepherdstown and has since moved over to Charlestown. I've been a practicing attorney for the last 17 years or so. A little bit about my platform. I have 3 aspects to my platform: smart growth, progressive leadership, and productive relationships. And I think they tie well into the issues that rose to the top in the survey that was conducted. First, related to smart growth and the need or the concern of maintaining a small business friendly environment. I think it's important with our town that we keep the storefronts filled with our small businesses. COVID has hit everyone hard. And we're going to need to be creative here as we come back out and transition back into what would be what we call normal, right? And how to help our businesses grow. One thought or idea that I've had is focusing on grant money and perhaps even forming a grant committee that will work to hopefully get money to the town, money that can be used for marketing and tourism and other areas that can get folks to come visit our town and shop and dine and stay and use our many small businesses. The second part of my platform is progressive leadership. As Alan said, I led the effort to amend the town ordinances to prohibit sexual orientation, discrimination, based upon sexual orientation. And most recently, I also served on the Recycling Task Force that was able to recommend and obtain passage of the Shepherdstown Sustainable Act that prohibits the use of styrofoam and partial use of plastic bags and straws in our town. I think that Shepherdstown has been at the forefront of a lot of these progressive issues, and it would be my goal to keep Shepherdstown as a model for the rest of the state in our surrounding counties and states in these areas. And I think a sustainable economic friendly growth can be an attractive thing. I think we use that and we get word out that we're doing it in that way, and that will help bring folks to our town to again shop at businesses and stay. So I think that we use it to our advantage. The final aspect of my platform is productive relationships. There are several dynamics in town. You have the business owners and the residents. You have the college and the townspeople. And I think that what I'd like to do is have roundtable discussions where we can host and focus on some of these major issues, including racial justice concerns, where folks from both the business community and town residents in all sides essentially can bring different information to the table and hopefully foster some good discussions as to what needs to be done and most importantly how to do it. So I look forward. If you want more information about me, you can go to my campaign Facebook page, Chris Stray for Shepherdstown Town Council. You can also email me at stray4shepherdstown@gmail.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Whoever you vote for, please come out and vote on the 21st. And I look forward to serving the town. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Chris. Next up is Deb Tucker, who is seeking a third term on the town council. Deb is the owner-operator of Bistro 112 and founder of Better Experiences for Shepherdstown Tourists, which created Boo Fest and Dog Fest. She has served on the board of Shepherdstown Visitor Center, as well as the Town Planning Commission and the Airbnb Task Force. Deb, you have up to 4 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for creating this forum. I did not grow up in Shepherdstown. I actually grew up in the DC area, and I am one of the few candidates that did not go to Shepherd University. I went to Georgetown University. But I do consider Shepherdstown to be my home. I retired here about almost 10 years ago, and I care passionately about the town. That know me know that I feel passionately about a lot of things, and I try to get involved. I've always been involved in civic activities since I moved here, and I try to get things done. Right now, I feel quite passionately about Black Lives Matter. I'm not really sure how to frame that, but I know it's a discussion that we must have as a community. I'm clearly concerned about helping the downtown businesses. It was a difficult time even before the pandemic, and it's exceedingly difficult right now. And I have huge concerns that we will lose some businesses. Thirdly, I also feel passionately about our senior community. I want them to feel safe being here. I want them to be able to age graciously in their homes and know that even with the pandemic and the sidewalks, that they have a place here in our community. And my fourth passion really is the whole gig economy that underlies and helps support our town. They need to be able to survive, and in this new economy, it's going to be very difficult for them. So we need to figure out how, as a community, we can help them and engage with them. As I said, I don't really have answers to all of these things, but I do think that this needs to be the focus of a newly engaged town council. We need to be much more active now. We can't just rely on the past processes and procedures the way we have made decisions as far as the town is concerned. What I've experienced since I've been on town council has led me to really think that what we need now is more transparency. We need to understand the decision-making process. We probably need to change the decision-making process. I think we need to imbue in the committee structure, which I think works fine, but we need to bring in the right talent and give them the process and procedures and delegate to them the authority to help in that decision-making process and to actually do more work than probably what we are currently doing as far as committees are concerned. We also think it needs to figure out a way to raise revenues, and we also need to figure out a way and analyze how it is that we spend money. we also need a new website. I mean, a good communications tool is a better website that is mobile friendly and has the ability to get forms and know updates and where do we stand on something. So that is a huge tool that we really need as a community. I opened the bistro last weekend for the first time. So I've been closed for 3 months. It's really hard. It's hot and it's hard. And my staff's amazing, and I think they're doing a terrific job. But I quite honestly, I think, don't have the energy to take on the things I mentioned and to be able to run my business. So I am stating now that I really would like to not run for the council. I think there's some really wonderful people that are running that have a lot of energy and have some of the things. Sorry, there's my alarm. Sorry about that.
And
I ask, however, one thing. Everybody else ran over. I do ask you not to vote for me, but I would encourage you to please vote for Marty Americano. I think he's got the intelligence and the stamina and the strategic thinking that we need as a community. And so I would hope you support him. Thank you.
thank you, Deb. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Jim Ford so we can stay on time. Jim? Jim is also a familiar face in the hospitality business, having operated the Thomas Shepherd Inn with his wife Jeannie from 2002 to 2014. Jim previously served 6 terms on the town council and has served on the water board since 2012. Jim, you have up to 4 minutes.
Alrighty. As Alan mentioned, I've served on town council several times. I've always viewed serving on council as a way to contribute to the community. I don't have any particular agenda or platform, actually. In the past, there have been several town elections for which we've only had 5 candidates running for the 5 seats. And there was one year when we only had 4 candidates. When I heard that 3 of the current council members intended not to run again this year, I decided to put my name in just to make sure we would have a full slate of candidates. As it turns out, we've got a pretty good list of candidates running, and I feel pretty confident that the town will be well served by whichever 5 get elected. As for some of the major issues I think we're facing, the most pressing issue is pretty obviously the pandemic. Dealing with the reality and the after effects of the current health crisis is going to be a big issue for town in the next 2 years. In the near future, we have to be pretty vigilant, staying aware and implementing the current directives from state and county health departments. But in the longer term, we have to work with the businesses to figure out how the town can best help them revive our economy. My wife and I ran a tourism-related business in town for 12 years, so I understand the problems that the businesses are wrestling with right now. I really don't know how some of them are surviving. It's very difficult. In order to help lead that recovery effort, I think we should be considering an establishment of an economic development committee made up of council members, business owners, and local residents. We've talked about that for several years back when I was on council, and it just never happened, but I think the time has come perhaps. Another big issue that concerns me is the continuing concern for the long-term economic viability of the town itself. During my time living in town, we've depended increasingly on money coming into town from the video lottery fund. When I was last on council, those funds were declining, and I have to imagine that this year there'll be a steep decline and that it'll result in some serious budgetary questions for town. In the long run, we can't continue to depend on that source of income. The last time I was on council, we made an initial step in the direction of getting away from it by instituting the 1% sales tax and subsequently annexing the Bavarian Inn so that their tax, their tax would come into town. I think we need to look at enlarging that whole idea. We need to find a way to annex more of the commercial properties that are currently just outside town so that town will begin to benefit from their economic activity. There are probably lots of other issues that we could talk about, but those are the only 2 I plan to talk about this evening. If anybody wants to have a discussion, I live in the greenhouse right next to the Thomas Shepherd Inn. Bring your mask and stop around. Take it away, Alan.
Thanks, Jim. Jenny Haynes. Jenny Haynes is a longtime resident of Shepherdstown and has been active with the Shepherdstown Community Club for 12 years. Now vice president of the club, she is responsible for the rentals of the SCC and the War Memorial Building. She serves on the Visitors Center Board and the town's Parks and Recreation Commission. Jenny, you have up to 4 minutes.
Thanks, Alan. Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm so nervous. I'm usually a behind the scenes kind of gal, so talking in front is just not my thing. But anyway, it's nice that we're doing this, but like all the other candidates, I think that we really have all the best interests in the future of Shepherdstown, which makes it really great. I think any of the candidates would be really great. I've always been quite involved in Shepherdstown. So seeking a seat on town council is just furthers my service to this community. And I have a deep and abiding care for the Shepherdstown community. I think it's important to lead by example. And I think I do that by volunteering, whether it be cleaning flower beds or decorating the town. I sit on the Shepherdstown Community Club. I am vice president now. I've kind of worked my way up. I take care of the rentals for the club, which is the War Memorial Building and the park, and just recently the train station. So I'm more of a ground zero kind of citizen. I see what's going on in the streets and I try to do its best and volunteer where I can. Having been a shop owner and all, and now I currently sit on the Visitor Center Board, I know how it is important for the small business of town to succeed, not only for the residents, but for the students, because most of the people that live here, they also work in these establishments. So German Street is important. And so, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Anyway, I've lost somebody?
You're still there. We can hear you. I think your Wi-Fi connection isn't very strong there. So maybe we can bring you up if you want to finish a little bit later. Corinne Airgood came to Shepherdstown as a student at Shepherd University in 2016, and she started her pet sitting business in 2018. She also worked at the Visitor Center. Corinne, you have up to 4 minutes.
Hi. So yeah, like Alan said, I moved to Shepherdstown in 2016. I grew up in rural southern West Virginia, so Shepherdstown is kind of a big town for me. I started my pet sitting business in 2018 because I wanted a dog, and my dad was like, no, there are people that will pay you to play with their dogs. So that's how I started my business, and I love it. I majored in business in college, so just kind of a versatile thing. The reason I chose to run for council is because throughout the past year, I continue to find myself reaching out to town council members asking how do I do this? Like, how is this determined? Like all these different things. And then they were finally like, have you thought about running? So I was like, no, I just see myself as kind of a snot-nosed kid still. I'm only 22, so, but I think it's a good idea to have a younger voice on the council since Shepherd University is such a big part of the town. I had a lot of friends in college that I would be like, hey, want to go to Betty's? And then be like, what's that? Like, they just aren't aware of things going on off campus. So I'd love to be able to get people more involved. And me being a small business owner, I feel like I want to give a good voice to the business owners in town, especially the ones that don't live in town, because I just think that's kind of silly. I want to make sure that they know what they're that they have a voice. And I think, as Deb said, updating the website, that thing is so confusing. I think it should have like a frequently asked questions section and a place where you can just like send in questions if you have a question about something. And I think a good idea is to live stream all of the town council meetings, because the room that they take place in already has that capability. And especially with how the world is right now, no one really wants to, once things start opening back up more, keeping population down in that room would be good. I just want to be able to get people more involved in town council. I started going because I worked at the visitor center, and Marianne Davis dragged me along to everything. So it was so interesting getting to know how things in town worked, because you don't get it like a welcome packet when you move in. You just kind of are expected to figure out how to do things. But I think that I can definitely bring a new perspective to the town council, as I am so young. But as kind of my little bit of closing, if you're going to vote for anyone, please vote for Cheryl. Like, if you haven't noticed, she knows what she's talking about. And I think the town council would be down up the river without a paddle, whatever that saying is, without Cheryl. So that's about it, Alan.
Thank you, Jenny. Or Corinne, sorry. Thank you, Corinne. Our last candidate tonight is Marty Amerikaner. Marty, let's bring you up. A former professor of psychology at Marshall University who came to Shepherdstown 5 years ago and has volunteered with the Shepherdstown Area Independent Living, the Shepherdstown Film Society, and Speak Story Series. There you are. And has served on the board of the Shenandoah Community Health Clinic. Marty, you have up to 4 minutes.
First off, thanks again, as other people have said, to Alan and to Shepherdstown Votes for putting this whole event together. I must say I was completely surprised by Deb's comments earlier, so we'll chat later. But thank you for that. I'm not a native of Shepherdstown. I actually grew up in New York, but for the last 30 years, my wife Linda and I have lived in West Virginia. That's the longest either of us have been really anywhere, and we've come to truly love and respect and value everything that Appalachia stands for. We both, I'll just speak for myself, I worked as a professor, as Alan mentioned, at Marshall for 30 years. In fact, I still teach an online class for Marshall. But about 5 years ago, we moved here to Shepherdstown, and I've just really loved being here. I love the opportunities I've had to contribute, to work in the community, and to just enjoy the wonderful people that I've had a chance to meet. I've organized an annual fundraiser for the library. I teach and I learn within the Lifelong Learning Program. I volunteer with SAIL, the Shepherdstown Area Independent Living organization. And as Alan said, I serve on the board of the Shenandoah Community Health Clinic. I support the Film Society and the Speak Story series by serving on their community boards. And currently, since the whole crisis began, I've been offering an ongoing free, quote, coping with the crisis support group via Zoom. And so now I'm looking forward to an opportunity to a new role, to serving town on the council. I think it's, I'll give you a little bit more about my background. I don't want to bore you with a bunch of, curriculum vitae details, but I did serve as chair of the psychology department at Marshall for 16 years. And during that time, we went through a lot of changes. And I won't bore you with all those details. But needless to say, there was a lot of real leadership challenges during that time. I think the people who've known me throughout my career would agree that I'm pretty good at balancing and juggling a whole lot of balls at the same time, the kinds of stuff that's necessary for good, programmatic, thoughtful consideration, the exploration of all different points of view and seeking out data, evidence, wisdom, and expertise from others in order to come to the best resolution for the kinds of problems that any organization, whether it be an academic department, a national organization that I've served, a state agency that I was the chair of, any number of different types of groups, and local and regional and even state governments, all have to consider not just the voices of people who speak loudly and speak often, although they need to be listened to and respected. We also need to seek out input from people who are typically more quiet, people who are more reticent, but often have really valuable insights and good things to say. But that means we have to take the initiative. We have to seek out their ideas and not just assume that they will come forward on their own. I'd like to give you an example of what I see as a valuable process.
Marty?
Yes.
Marty, we're going to have to end it there. You're at your 4 minutes. In order to continue with the rest of the evening, I'm going to have to ask you to, can you wrap it up in a couple seconds?
Okay, real quickly, I'll just say that as part of the Shepherdstown age-friendly Shepherdstown committee, we did a major data collection to prioritize community needs, identified 3 top areas. We wrote a grant in conjunction with town council and SAIL, which we're waiting to hear from, which will help us address some of the communication issues as well as some of the informational issues to the town. I have other, I really didn't think that was 4 minutes, but if it was, it was.
It was.
So,
Sorry.
okay, and I would be glad to talk with people. My email address is american, AMERIKAN, @marshall.edu. So I would look forward to hearing from you and chatting some more.
Thank you very much, Marty. So this concludes the candidate statements for the evening. For those of you who may have follow-up questions, we hope you can connect with the candidates directly or through Shepherdstown Votes on Facebook. And now I'm going to bring James Gatz back for a closing statement.
Okay. Thanks, Alan, and thanks to all the candidates. You know, it's great to see your faces and hear your ideas, and it's just really heartening to know that we have so many leaders in this town that want to help out. You know, I know we'd all really rather be together in person for a good old candidate meet and greet, maybe have ice cream. But since we can't do that, we at Shepherdstown Votes very much appreciate the opportunity to provide this little evening of virtual meeting here. And I want to thank Alan and OneClick.chat for helping us make that happen. I also want to just give a shout out to my colleagues at Shepherdstown Votes. That's Elise Bach and Mary Fortuna and D.W. Gregory. We're a good team, and we all work together to make this happen. As a reminder, we're going to post a recording of this evening's event on the Shepherdstown Votes Facebook page later this week. Anybody who wants to watch it again, feel free to do so. Or please also let your friends and neighbors know that they can go to the Shepherdstown Votes Facebook page and see a recording. In closing, I'd also like to remind you again that in-person early voting is underway right now at Town Hall. Town Hall is open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays for early voting through July 18th. It's also possible to vote absentee. The town mailed every registered voter an application for an absentee ballot in early June. We know that many of you have already requested an absentee ballot and have received it, and others, there's still time to request that absentee ballot. If you plan to vote through absentee voting, be sure to complete and return your ballot by mail or hand delivery to the City Hall the ballot must be postmarked by Election Day, July 21st, and received soon thereafter. And of course, in-person voting will happen on Election Day, Tuesday, July 21st. The poll hours are from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., and you do that in the town hall. So those are all the details. Seen our candidates. It's time to think about this and make a decision. Here's hoping for a really great turnout in this election. And I just want to say good evening, everybody, and thanks for watching.
Thanks again, James. And I wanted to make one little shout out. I thought it was kind of that the town might get a kick out of this. One of our clients, one of our one-click.chat clients is the city of Urbana, Illinois. And they are using and considering using one-click for events such as this one. And so they joined the event this evening just to see how it goes. And we're excited that we could show off our Shepherdstown candidates to them. So anyway, thank you very much for your participation. I really appreciate the candidates' understanding about the time, but we wanted to keep this moving, and it looks like we've got 1 minute to spare. So thank you all very much, and we will see you around town. Bye-bye.